So hello and welcome to our Facebook Live discussion on the heart-centered approach to spiritual growth grids that we began after the online sales event. Guess what? We're live. That we began on our July's season finale. Welcome, Paul, to the discussion. And we also welcome each of you to join into the comment section throughout our discussion, sharing your experiences and questions or ideas that you have about the grids and what they're doing for you.
So real quickly, I'm going to type into the chat window an email in which you can reach out and access me. And so I'll put that in the window. It's XP Divine Connection at yahoo.com for Paul. And would you like to put your email in? Near Tamara at PrismsScape.
Sure.
So if anyone has any questions afterwards or comments, then they can reach out to us.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for pointing that out. So we do have a few people that are joining us. We invite you to comment or wave, let us know that you're here. And again, please use the comment section to add in your ideas and experiences. So the heart-centered grid that we began, where should we begin talking about that?
Well, this process was initiated truly by the divine, right? Spirit came and said that a lot of work is being required of us through the heart chakra, right? Through the way in which we are dealing both with COVID as well as the energies that are moving through Earth at this particular time, all kind of reside and require, right, work to be done at the heart chakra level. That the expression and the manifestation that's being called for is one that needs to emanate from the heart. And so once that message was received, and it took a couple of times for that message to be received, I mean, Spirit literally hit me with the proverbial brick over the head and said, hey, listen up, dummy. It's time for us to do something. Hello, everyone. So when that occurred, then it was required of Tamara and I to kind of think about what kind of crystals would want to participate and join with us. And we spent a good amount of time kind of just looking through the store and talking with the crystals and seeing who was jumping on and off the shelf. Now, as that process occurred, as we surrendered our own egos, we surrendered kind of like what we thought would be best, and instead maintained a position of silence so we could hold space for the crystals and be nothing more than just a vessel for their expression. Then I think we put together an exceptional grouping of crystals. I know we put together an exceptional grouping of crystals because that night, during the course of the day, as we were preparing for it, Tamara and I were both moved. I mean, like spiritually, energetically, physically moved during that particular day. And we happened to have the best event that we had ever hosted. And I don't mean just record sales. I'm just talking about the reception that others were feeling, I'm talking about how we responded both during and after the event. And I mean, I bought literally 2 of every crystal that was on the list for a reason, because my wife, Sharon, and my son, Xander, are working cooperatively with each other on the question of accessing the heart and opening it up. And so it literally just came to me that they needed, because of their cooperative work, we needed 2 of everything so that they could join, right, and share energies and exchange between each other. And so it's been a wonderful journey, I think, for us. Now, the result of that has been very positive at our home. We happened to talk to Sharon last night. Tamara asked Sharon the question, so how's the grid been working for you? Like, how are you feeling, et cetera? And
what are you noticing?
Yeah.
What's different? And
Sharon might even be on here. She oftentimes watches us. And hopefully she'll comment. But she literally, the first day that the night that I brought it home, they both immediately put together their grid. They knew exactly what it was they wanted. They were both excited. And so the crystals had already started working on them. That night, Sharon felt her literally falling into her heart. And for a moment there, it frightened her, right? Because it was a place she'd never ever been before, right? Or a feeling. Remember, she even said it, I've never been to my heart before. Like to literally go into the chakra itself and then access that divine intelligence that resides in there. Cindy Fox, who we all adore and think of her as our teacher often, her teacher told her that the chakras are something that exist with a set of information that we've already mastered that particular expression. And so the benefit of going into your heart chakra will help you access that divine intelligence, right? That mastery, right? The expression of unconditional love, and be able to manifest it in your world. And so that's odd for many of us because, we live and we're socialized in such a way that even our value systems, right, are so rooted in the idea of judgment that to go to a place where just being love resides can make a person uncomfortable. I mean, no one said that this process was always going to be easy, right? All right, but it requires work, and so since then, Sharon has continued, right, to go deeper and deeper and deeper, right? It's that process of surrendering, and surrender means more than just like giving oneself over, right? It means to know the truth of the divine, right? And that truth that we all need to, I think, adopt and understand is that we are always taken care of.
Yes.
Right? And so when we surrender, we're no longer asking for us to have a role in our life, to manage our lives, to control our lives. Instead, we're simply saying, I give myself over to you. Right? And then they, I refer to the divine in plural, right? They, right? Well, androgynous, non-sexist, right? Kind of comments, right? So they then, Xander corrected me one time, divine always used to be a he, right? And Xander said, no, right? It's they. So they, right, then guide us and lead us. It's only when we get in our own way then that type of divine work, right, becomes corrupted and contaminated. So Sharon's finding that when she goes deeper and deeper and deeper into her heart, and the more frequent visits she has to it, right, the more total her surrender becomes, right? She's moving closer and closer and closer to that level of surrender, right?
We're building more trust with each opportunity. So.
Right. Beyond faith. Right? Beyond faith. Right? We all have faith that we'll be taken care of, that what's in our best interest, right, will be made available to us, right? Blah, blah, blah. Right? But to know it is a truth.
Know it. Yeah.
Right? And to have that truth be expressed in our everyday life is just, I think, fascinating. Right? Not really a place that I'm at right now. It's a place that I hope to get to, right, and achieve at some point in my life. And I do work constantly, right, to move myself to that place. But, I mean, I'm being honest with all of you, right? I mean, I get in my own way often.
Yeah. So wanting to make sure that we welcome Alice and Sandy and Erica to the event. I know several of you are purchased the stones or are possibly doing the grid right along with us. And I wanted to make sure that we open up an opportunity for you to share what you are already feeling or sensing. If you can put it in the comment section, we'll read it to everybody. We would like to know how this is affecting your experience. I'm very curious because when we're doing our own individual work, that's one thing. But when we are adding that and combining that energy with other people in the community, we're amplifying that. And now we have some other people to help bounce ideas off of or talk about our experiences. So we're growing together abundantly in this opportunity. So I'm super excited about that part. You know, going ahead and doing it myself is great, but knowing that other people are out there doing it as well and having experiences, I think means a lot to me. And I'm sure it does to you as well. And I'm really excited to see the results of what this is going to look like at the end of August. So I will. I do want to get into some of the different parts of the grid, but I wanted to catch you up on my part of the process began as soon as I committed to doing this myself, to taking on this growth opportunity from the divine and work with the crystals and give myself permission over the next month, over the month of August, to do the work and allow that journey into and expand the heart chakra. So even though I didn't get the grid set up because I had a little bit of a move and things, but so I didn't get my grid set up quite yet. It's still formulating, but I will say that my experiences as of August 1st, when I agreed for the month, I could already feel the energies changing and shifting things within me. Even my responses or reactions to certain things, had a flat tire blowout, and instead of just being like, whoa, it's me, and this is so crazy, it was like, okay, well, what do I need to do to get this taken care of and to take care of my needs? And literally people showed up at just the right time or followed me to the store. I had no concerns about anything, and I just sat there while my tire was getting changed and enjoying the sun and allowing everything to be fixed while I just focused on me and being in the best vibration. And it was a little strange to laugh at some things that would have typically angered me, but I really was like, I love this way of being. Like, I felt joy even though it would be typically a very stressful situation. So I could already feel the energy of the stones and the transformations beginning to take hold. And with each time that something would happen, it would, again, grow that trust that this is a beautiful way to express myself in the world, and I'm going to go with it for a little longer. Now, getting into the grids themselves, we are encouraging you guys to get those set up for you. We did give you And we can email a copy of this to you if you want to request it. And just send me your information, or Paul the information on our emails that we put at the beginning of the chat, and we can send you a copy of this. And what it is groupings of the different crystals, kind of in stages that we see. As Paul described it, was kind of like baking. So you want to work on this part of it, and then dive into this part and just continue to add the different ingredients, add the different stones to the mix, so that, well, don't come out a flop. But there isn't any particular right or wrong way to do it, but this is a beautifully laid out intention in ordering and pairing of the crystals that brings a lot more ease to the process of trusting and knowing. So again, whatever you are doing through your own intuition with the crystals and the stones, and whatever setup you have, is a really great place to start. I think I was kind of going with a spiral, and I think your family also kind of went with a spiral. I could also see like a tree of life base, like kind of ideas. And I also see it as potential for growing with little shoot-offs over here for particular energies. Maybe you might find some trauma as you're going in there that needs to be dealt with. And so your grid might have specific qualities for you that will help you personally to get there.
Can I interrupt just for a second? Tamara's absolutely right. A lot of you have already purchased other gridding kits, right, or have access to other, right? Once we begin opening the heart and working on the heart, right, things may come forward. And so if you experience some sort of trauma, right, you begin addressing it and healing it, right, and there's some redemption, reconciliation of it, then add one of your PTSD kits, right, to that,
yeah.
Right?
Perfect.
Right? And so that becomes an offshoot, right? If it's something that has to do with karmic attachments, right? Get access to, the karma kit, right? And add it. So, and your grid doesn't necessarily just have to be just crystals. A lot of you have photos, right? And so a photo might invoke particular emotional response or memory, right? This was the time in which I felt the happiest, right? And so maybe we add a photo to that place to bring in, right, the energies of that emotional moment in time, right? So it can lend itself, right, and make itself more readily available to us, right? And we can relive and re-experience not the moment, but the emotion, right? And so it doesn't just have to be crystals, flowers, herbs, cloths, right? We have, right? Maybe you have a little snippet, of a ribbon, right, that someone wore on a dress, right, or they had at a recital, or maybe you put a ring, right, or a piece of jewelry, right? We already talked about how, necklaces and bracelets and all those types of things, right, can all be added. So don't just limit your grid necessarily to a crystal. If you feel like this would add to or contribute to the process, then include it. Put it somewhere.
And I'm going to go on to what Alice mentioned, is that she used these sheets as kind of a guideline, which is exactly what they were meant to be, as a guide, but she swapped out different crystals that called to her, and that's exactly what we were hoping for. So, if these were the ones that were available here, but if there's one that's more specific to the energies or qualities that you are needing for you, definitely add them and work them in. And I love what you mentioned about the putting the jewelry in, because there's many times where maybe you want to keep that or carry that energy with you through a particular day or through a particular event, and having it working and charging in the grid, and working with that, and then being able to take that with you.
Wear it on a wrist, a finger, around the neck. Just, someplace where it's touching the skin, right? Something like that is absolutely. Yeah. Right?
And I was also going to mention that these, working with the crystals specifically, they're caring for the metaphysical properties, the intentions of what it is that we're wanting to bring in, that which we are wanting to express, that we already have within us. And these are just kind of physical or tangible reminders of that which we're wanting to bring into the physical world. And so that's why working with the crystals or the pictures or the herbs or whatever, that's what the beauty is of adding it to the grid, is you're adding that energy of that which you already have.
So they're tangible manifestations. They're literally holding that vibration for us, right? Until we realize it in ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the important part, is that a lot of this has to do with realization, right? To know self, right? To know our authentic self. And gridding is a process, right? A ritualistic process, a spiritual process that brings us closer and closer and closer to that expression of our true authentic self, that genuine you, that divine you, that higher self that we're all trying to all access, right? And become an expression of, right? And so just as devotion, right, plays a role in all religious practices, just as devotion plays a role in all the work you do, whatever business you happen to be in, right, that when we devote ourselves to practices that bring us closer to the higher self and to realize our true self, then, we're going to be doing the work. And the crystals are there providing the programming, right? And so these are the channels that were brought to us that said, hey, look, people, if they were to begin accessing these channels, right, they'll move deeper and have a greater realization of self. And that's really kind of what we're hoping all of you come up with during this process.
So what are some different things that we are doing to support you? I'm gonna just kind of double check what Alice. She's got all kinds of great stuff. Thank you so much, Alice, for commenting. Let's see what she said. Okay, so what we're doing to support. Good ideas. Paul never considered adding other things than crystals. Mind blown. Right? All right. And so Alice says, what about cleansing your crystals in the grid? Is this something you should do and then put the grid back together? I was wondering about that. And can they work better if you do that? So she's directing the question, it seems like, to you.
So, Alice, the answer to your question is absolutely. When I teach the gridding class, we talk about processes of cleansing the grid. We talk about processes of cleansing our crystals prior to, right? You can simply call down, right, divine energy, right? Hold your crystal, and as you set your intention of what work you would like that crystal to cooperate, right, co-create with you, right, then you're cleansing it, and you're attuning yourself to it, and you're moving, right? And that's a simple way, right? Now, there are all sorts of, you go online, you can find all sorts of different, suggestions on how to cleanse crystals, etc., right? And we can talk about all of those, and we do in the class. We talk about a number of different practices that people say are best practices for certain types of crystals, etc., right? But to me, right, every chance that I get to connect to the crystals, right, is to me a best practice. Right. So this works.
We also have, if I may, we have several of the crystals that are on the worksheet or in the homework that are self-cleansing and clearing, and also cleanse and clear other crystals. So some of that forward thought went into it with your kyanite and your citrine. And of course, I'm a huge advocate for the clear quartz. For selenite, which we didn't offer particularly, but would definitely be a good addition. And then I would also say that when you go to set up the grid, making sure that all of your crystals are cleansed, cleared, and set for the intention, programmed for what they need to be. doing. And then at the end of the grid, so at the end of August, would be a great time to cleanse and clear and give thanks to the grid for the work that was done over the month. If you intuitively feel something has come up and needs a little bit of extra cleansing, just sending some of that energy to it, or encouraging the grid to do like little self-cleansing. The violet flame opal, the Murado opal that was in there too, will help just cleanse the whole grid as well. And then I like what you had mentioned about what we're doing to support. And you've talked several times about the crystal gridding, the class that we're offering. And so I do want to make sure that we point out that August 22nd, we are doing a 4-hour class on gridding that we invite you to join in. This will be a opportunity for us to also work back and forth. So it'll be through Zoom Meet. So we'll be actually able to see you and hear from you as well, as far as what's happening and what's going on, as well as sharing some of the insights on different practices for creating really amazing results.
And Zoom's just an app that you can download, and then I will send you the meeting code, right, and the password to get in. And so it doesn't cost you anything to download Zoom. It's free.
Yeah.
So you don't need to buy like the Zoom package, if that makes sense.
Right. And the class is going to be offered for $50, and that's a huge savings compared to the weekend workshop.
I normally charge $300 for this workshop.
Yeah. So there's
and it's been full every time I've offered it.
Yeah, I have taken it, and it was it helped tremendously improve the results of the grids that I was creating. I knew that there was some little adjustments that needed to be made, but taking the time to go through the workshop and having over a year now to actually practice and play and experience it, still growing immensely. So whether you've already taken the class before, to know a few people had mentioned, well, I took it before, can I take it again? I feel like every time you take it, you're going to continue to grow, and plus you get to also offer your insights and experience to those that might have questions, or you might have an answer to someone as well that needs to hear that. So if you are interested in it, we'd love to spend time with you on the 22nd. And again, we'll be able to talk more about what you've already been doing, what results you've been seeing as well. So I'll stick around for a little while afterwards to entertain that conversation if it does need to run over or so for an hour or so.
So Alice also asked the question about cleansing, right? And to finish it, there are all sorts of different strategies you could utilize. Like you can place crystals outside the grid whose intention is nothing more than to maintain the sacredness of the space. So a selenite tower, a piece of onyx, right, or black tourmaline, right? And so you've got something that is removing as well as something that is cleansing and charging. So as debris is collected, right, within the crystals, have you ever seen a crystal shatter because it's had been cleansed and it became full?
Hematite does that often.
Right? It's an interesting phenomenon to watch happen, right? And so we need to take energy out, and we need to continually put energy in, right? Just it becomes a cycle. It's the way in which energy moves through us, right? We also need to maintain that right within our crystals.
And speaking of energy and intentions, I will point out that Xander, Paul's son, does a phenomenal job of making sure that all of the crystals on our table for the online sales events are cleansed and cleared and charged and programmed and ready to go with the intentions that we're putting out there, which is why I feel like a lot of times they just kind of fly off the shelves because you know that they're ready to work. And he just, again, a phenomenal job on that, which is also just a little plug here why it's so much fun to get through our shop versus maybe purchasing on Amazon.com where you don't necessarily know where the stuff is coming from, and you also support local business, and that is something that we absolutely enjoy, is making sure that you get the highest quality product, crystals, stones, to work with you and that they're ready to go. So just in case you weren't sure about doing that, we're doing our best to take care of you and providing that service. So
So
Thanks to Xander.
we were working the day of the sale, right? Ruth Ann came in, right, and she was helping out the shop. She was looking around.
Volunteering.
Yep. And she asked, oh, what's kind of this? And she wanted to show me a crystal she was kind of interested in. And I told her, I said, I'd like to show you something that all of us can do, right? And so I had her hold the crystal, and we talked through about tuning oneself to the crystal, and then asking the crystal to open itself up to receive an angel, right? And 3 came into that particular crystal, and then when I handed it back to her, I asked her, now you feel it and see how it's changed. And she noticed a marked difference. And then she, like, it was moved in some way that was, I don't want to call it a startle, because that's such a negative, right? It's just like, whoa, right? It's like, whoa. Right? It's just, there's a little shift. And I said, you just felt a flutter, didn't you? And she goes, yeah, I really did. I just felt a flutter. And I said, well, that was the wings of the angels. And so there are all sorts of ways in which we will work through kind of this process on in the class, et cetera, about how to get you to really be attuned to your crystals and have your crystals really, really ready to work for you. Mm-hmm. But no, Xander does an amazing job, and everyone here will tell you that if you receive a crystal that Xander has touched, you'll receive something that's been blessed by the divine. So, yeah, it's all good.
All right, so I think we're going to come on here for just about a half an hour. Is there anything else in particular that we wanted to discuss? Do you guys have any questions from us? Where you're at in your process, next step type things? Now, I know the class isn't until the 22nd, and a good part of that is because of timing with all of the stuff in the shop, but I also want to encourage you to set up your grids with your own intuition. And I think you'll notice that during the class, we're going to be very encouraging for that part. And I know that Alice had mentioned so much to learn. In my experience, there's a huge learning curve, though. So when you're putting it in there, that you're wanting for the best intentions, you're willing to set your ego aside. Even if you don't get things like in the exact right spots, a lot of times there's a little bit of a learning curve with the energy will still go until you've learned that, which will help you to get that result. So there is, I will admit to that, there is a learning curve. And so even if you're just like giving it your best, you'll still get really amazing results, I feel. So
remember, it's safe. It's safe, right? To add, subtract, or modify whatever it is that you've put up. Right?
Even during it. So
during the process, right, as the grid has been active, I can't tell you the number of grids that changed completely over time, because it started off in moving in one direction, right, and then all of a sudden, a shift occurs, and so different channels need to be made available, and so the active grid still has not manifested the outcome, right, but as I move spiritually, as I develop, right, energetically, right, then different channels need to be brought to bear to bring different qualities, right, and so it all just shifts and moves.
Yeah. Or I notice as I'm going through some of the outworkings of this in my day-to-day life, I might notice that I could use a little bit more support in a particular area, like maybe a little bit more focus or calming the mind, or a little bit more work or support emotionally with stuff that's coming up. And so adding a few extra things, whether it be flowers or pictures or herbs or more crystals to the grid, once that that need arises, is completely valid. It's just like, oh, I recognize this is happening, this is where I'm at in the process of, and I need a little bit more support here. So continue to add, move, turn things around, subtract throughout the course of this month. And definitely if you could keep like kind of a log or a journal too about what you're experiencing, I think that I could also get on board with that, because then we might be able to track our process a little bit better about how much we've actually changed. Like looking back, you don't always realize how far you've come until you just take a quick peek back to see how much you've grown. And it's like, whoa, it's amazing.
We'll talk about setting sacred the space. And I think that that's an important aspect of any gridding process, right? Is making that space sacred.
Yeah. Do we need to talk about that now, or could we just kind of intend to set that space sacred for them until they develop more of that knowledge base themselves,
Mm-hmm.
just to help them be safe in that, to create that safe space for them?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we'll definitely, we're on that for you as well, so that way you have a safe container, a safe space to be able to explore in this. That sounds wonderful. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about doing this. Or just that we are doing this. I mean, yeah, okay.
They've been asking me to take my class virtual to make it available because and we have the technology now to do that. And so I thought that this would be a wonderful way to invite and work with the community on something that we're all kind of doing together. Right. So it's a wonderful opportunity.
And so it will be provided
you get a nice workbook.
Yes.
And I give you homework.
You love your homework. That's the teacher in Paul right there. His homework. So what was I going to mention there? Lost it. Oh,
anyway, we've had just a wonderful opportunity working with all of you. Go ahead.
Oh, so I remembered. So it's only going to be offered virtually. So we're considering the possibility of maybe having a couple people in person. However, if we do that because of the current climate, we would have to wear face masks and face shields, and then that might not be able to, that might affect the delivery and trying to talk through a face mask online. So we're just going to keep it to strictly virtual.
Yeah, we'll do this first one virtual. I mean, I've been teaching online now at U, so I'm quite capable of making sure this all works.
Fabulous.
We'll be fine.
Yes. It'll be lots of fun. And again, it'll be a lot more interactive because we'll be able to see you and talk to you and hear your questions that you have. So there was one more thing. Do you have anything else?
Maybe.
Oh, okay. So if you want to also send pictures, you can send pictures. If you don't want to post them publicly on the feed, the one that we have set up here in the shop is going to be a community one that we're going to continue to grow throughout the month of August, adding more stones each time, just to help, have a central one to support those in the community that are doing this work. And then you're welcome to post pictures of or comment on your experiences on the Facebook if you want. Otherwise, you can also use our emails and send us stuff directly if you have specific questions between now and the 22nd. So if you would like to sign up for the class, because it is virtual, we're not going to have limits like we've had to have before, of space constrictions. So we will have a variety, a lot more opportunity to help more people that way. So are we going to limit it in any way? I should ask. Are we going to? No?
It will limit itself. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's what I believe. I believe who will come to the class are those who need to receive that information at that particular time. We're working, right, in that direction. And what we're going to talk about in that particular setting will aid them in that process. And so we just, it's sort of like sometimes Xander and Cindy have these community meditations, and the teaching room only really holds about 15 people comfortably, but there'll be 26 people who show up, right? Which means I pretty much sit almost in the hallway during those, which is absolutely fine, because those people that were there needed to be there. And then other times we'll have, a dozen people there. And so whatever energies are needed, whoever needs to hear whatever message will be delivered that particular day, right, will be there.
Right.
And so don't be afraid of this process. That's the number one thing that's important, right? Don't walk into this at all in fear, right? There's no right way, there's no wrong way, there's no judgment, right? Simply give yourself over to them and ask them to work with you and for you to achieve a particular end, and watch it unfold.
Absolutely. So there'll be plenty of room. And now we're going to do like maybe another talk or two throughout the month. Do we want to do one next Saturday as well?
This is Tamara's polite way of saying, Paul, we need to do more talks. So absolutely.
Well, I think they're missing us.
I would love to do more talks.
Since we're not doing the sales events, they want to know what we're doing, and I want to know what you guys are doing. So I think we could maybe commit to next Saturday as well, doing a talk, a little bit more on the process of what we've experienced throughout the week, or how the grids are coming along, what we're experiencing, and then again encouraging you guys to give us your feedback, so that we
next week I'd really like to hear what some people have to share about what it is they're experiencing. Alice has talked a little bit about kind of setting up her grid and exchanging crystals for other crystals. Like, it'd be interesting to have kind of that depth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of not just what motivated, but what have been the results. Like,
yes. What are the results that you're seeing from doing
produced?
that move? Yeah, absolutely. And if you are going to email us, if it needs to be private and you don't want us to talk about, because I mean, Paul was so kind to sharing the story, making sure it was okay. But if you are going to email us, and if it's okay that we maybe share some of what we're talking about, please make sure that you put that in the email, just so we kind of have permission to share. Or if we don't, we can share your experience, but maybe not your name. We just want to honor privacy.
Keep everything anonymous.
Yeah, whatever comfort level that you're at. But I think it's important to know that we're in this together, and that whatever you're going through is completely valid, and we're here to support you in that. And if you do need additional support from us, just let us know what that looks like, because there's a lot of different healing modalities as well that are very beneficial and work in support of this healing that you're doing and that you're undergoing. And your success in this is ultimately what we're hoping to gain here. So
yes, you can use dragons in a grid.
Oh yeah,
they're very active.
Oh, that's interesting, because my dragon kept wanting to sit on the table, and I'm like, you can sit over here. I'm not ready to have you in there. But they're great companions, and definitely could bring some interesting energy into the grid.
Yeah, most definitely.
So.
But it is all about intentions, and we spend a good deal of time talking about how to set high quality intentions.
Purifying our intentions.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So
yes,
that's really that's an important part. How does one think? Right? How does one come into there?
Yeah. I don't think he's grumpy, but
they do have their own attitude and personality. They are divine, but not in the point of. So yeah, absolutely.
But they have personality, so they have ego quite a bit.
So, it's wonderful.
Yes, but they are amazing companions. They really are. But maybe it's time to what is that? How to Train Your Dragon. So if you have too much issues with Malachi, we can send Dragon Sensei to go work with him. So cheer him up.
All right, thank you.
See, now sassy. I would think it's more sassy than grumpy. Yeah. So.
Oh, I will tell you a little something. Many people will think of Christ as this very humble, blah, 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 right? But let's be clear. They. Sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Uh-huh.
So they have their own sassiness.
Yes. Yep.
Believe me. Absolutely believe me. Because Xander communes, that's Xander's guide is Christ. And so Christ is, he's quite honoring.
They can be. What do you do for entertainment? Come on.
So I'll give you an instance of something that was really funny. So I asked Christ if he would utilize my pendulum, right, and move it. And Xander just kind of looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, "Did I hear what I thought I heard?" And he said, "Well, what did you hear, Dad?" And I said, "Did Christ just tell me I don't do that?" And he said, "Yeah, Dad, he's not a trained monkey, so he's not going to play for your show. So if you have something you want to ask him, then ask him, and you'll receive the message. You don't need to see something move." So I just thought that was kind of funny. So yeah, very sassy.
Awesome. Well, according to this worksheet, we have timing. We're all going to go through things at our own process in our own time. But alignment of chakras was the first grouping of crystals to kind of work through. Feeling that it's definitely working. This next section, I would say, is kind of where I'm currently at, while other people might be in different spaces. Stimulating and opening the heart chakra. That's kind of where I feel like currently in the process of myself. So I don't know.
I'd like to hear how that goes for you next week.
Yeah. And we'd love to hear where you feel you are in the process and how you're experiencing it as well. So please, we are really looking forward to hearing from you. That's why taking the initiative and getting over my fear and putting out here to share what our experiences or my experiences. So hopefully to give you guys permission or feel that comfort in sharing where you're at, because I mean, yeah, that's what I'm really hoping for, is to find out how we're all going through this together and probably affirming some different things for each other. So anyways, all right, I'm done. This time, for real. Thank you, everyone. Bye, Alice, and thank you for all your comments.